In the third episode of Season 2 of House of the Dragon, we are introduced to Great Castle of Harrenhal in the Riverlands, where Prince Daemon has come to rally its forces to Rhaenyra's banners. It is a storied fortress with a history of woe and tragedy for all that have into its possession. It is obviously a fortress that has seen better days, as it is shown to be in a state of great disrepair for such a seat of power. Even the Strongs, who currently have custody of Harrenhal, remark on its decrepit nature and their inability to adequately upkeep the stronghold. But more than this, we can certainly see that there is something going on beyond the mere crumbling of physical walls here, as it seems to be a place where mystical forces have congregated, for we have not only the sorceress Alice Rivers in play, but also vastly more ancient presence of a massive weirwood, the very embodiment of the old gods in Westeros. What exactly is the nature of Harrenhal, and why do its lords fall into such misfortune? Is it just a string of bad luck through the decades, or are there darker forces of a mystical nature at play, from the time of its founding to the time of Daenerys Targaryen? Beware before proceedings, for here be spoilers. Harrenhal was constructed by Harren the Black, the last king of the Isles, and the Rivers from House Hoare. The massive fortress took 40 years to build, requiring immense resources and the lives of thousands of slaves. Harrenhal was intended to be the greatest castle in Westeros, featuring 5 huge towers and high, thick walls, a true testament to Harren's ego and pride. However, on the day near its completion, Aegon the Conqueror landed in Westeros, commanding all kings and lords to swear fealty to him. Harren's refusal to bend the knee to the Targaryens led to Aegon burning the castle with dragonfire in a stunning nighttime aerial assault upon the back of Balerion the Black Dread, killing Harren and his sons and giving the towers a charred and melted appearance. After extinguishing the line of House Hoare, Aegon I granted Harrenhal to Quentyn Cohaerys. House Cohaerys' rule was short-lived, ending during the reign of Aenys Targaryen, when Lord Gargan Cohaerys was killed by Harren the Red. Harrenhal was then given to Lucas Harroway, but House Harroway met a brutal end under Maegor Targaryen, who had the family exterminated due to his suspecting their involvement in the foiling of him producing an heir. Harrenhal passed to House Towers next, but they too faced misfortune. Walton Towers, the first Lord of Harrenhal from House Towers, died shortly after winning the castle in a melee. His descendants also met untimely ends, with the last of the line dying out under Jaehaerys Targaryen. Subsequently, Jaehaerys granted Harrenhal to House Strong. Lionel Strong, a prominent member, became Hand of the King, but both he and his son Harwin died under mysterious circumstances in a fire at Harrenhal, for which the show points the finger firmly at Larys Strong. House Lothston held sway over Harrenhal next, but their rule was marked by rumors of dark deeds and blood magic. Lady Dannel Lothston, known as the Mad Lady of Harrenhal, was said to bathe in blood and practice necromancy. Their rule ended in disgrace, and the castle passed to House Went. Lord Walter Went hosted the famous tourney at Harrenhal in 281 AC, but his family fell into decline soon after, and the last of the Wents disappeared during the War of the Five Kings. Indeed, Catelyn Stark's mother was a Went who married into the great House Tully in the Riverlands, and she remarks internally on their rapid fall into obscurity from such lofty heights, observing the fading of that side of her family into irrelevancy in her musings. So it can be seen that those who hold Harrenhal can be quite the players in the game at one point, only to fall off in a short period of time. Lady Shella Went yields Harrenhal to Lord Tywin Lannister early in the War of the Five Kings, and Tywin uses Harrenhal as a strategic base during his campaign in the Riverland. After Tywin departs, he leaves Sir Amory Lorch as Castellan. The brave companions, led by Vargo Hoat, betray Amory and hand the castle to Roose Bolton, a bannerman of House Stark. Roose Bolton takes control, furthering Robb Stark's strategic position. In the eyes of the Baratheon dynasty, Harrenhal was briefly held legally by Janos Slynt, a former commander of the City Watch, who was granted the castle by King Joffrey Baratheon. However, Slynt never truly took control and was sent to the Night's Watch, where he was executed by Jon Snow. Following the Battle of the Blackwater, King Joffrey Baratheon grants Harrenhal to Petyr Baelish as a reward for securing an alliance between the Lannisters and Tyrells. However, the actual control remains contested as Roose Bolton's Northmen and Vargo Hoat's brave companions hold the castle until the aftermath of the Red Wedding. At that point, Sir Gregor Clegane leads the Lannisters' forces to recapture Harrenhal from the brave companions. Despite the title, Baelish rarely occupied the castle, using it mainly to elevate his social status and marry Lysa Arryn. Throughout the War of the Five Kings, Harrenhal's strategic location and formidable structure made it a valuable and contested asset, leading to its frequent change of hands between the warring factions. Yet a poisoned glass of wine, it remained to its various custodians, as you can see from the various ends of its holders. Throughout its history, Harrenhal has been plagued by misfortune and tragedy, earning a reputation for being cursed. Almost every house that has held the castle has faced early deaths, mysterious disasters, and sudden downfalls. The immense size and maintenance costs also make it impractical as a seat of power. Harrenhal's dark history and the many calamities that have befallen its occupants contribute to its eerie and cursed status in the world of Westeros. The Godswood at Harrenhal is notable for its size and the presence of a weirwood tree. This weirwood, like others, serves as a sacred place for those who worship the old gods. In the context of Harrenhal, a castle known for its dark history and perceived curse, the Godswood adds an element of ancient mysticism. And indeed, we know that the Children of the Forest have long used the weirwoods to work their will in Westeros, which is what led the first men to specifically target them in their war with them thousands of years ago. Harrenhal's reputation as a cursed place, with numerous tragic and violent events occurring within its walls, lends credence to the idea that the weirwood tree and the old gods might play a role in its lore. This is reinforced by Arya Stark's experiences there, where she prays to the weirwood and spends time in its godswood during her stay at Harrenhal. So since we know that the weirwoods are the eyes and ears of the Children of the Forest, we can come to see that the Dawn race of the Children are at play in this place of the old gods. Bloodraven, or Brynden Rivers, bastard son of Aegon IV, who later becomes the last Green Seer by the time of Game of Thrones, has deep connections with the weirwoods and the Children of the Forest. As a Green Seer, Bloodraven can use the weirwoods to see and influence events across Westeros. His ability to observe through the weirwoods suggests that his influence could extend to places like Harrenhal, where a significant weirwood is present. This connection implies that the Children of the Forest, through Bloodraven, might be at play in the events at Harrenhal, observing and possibly influencing the course of history there. The weirwood at Harrenhal, therefore, serves not only as a religious site, but also as a potential channel for the ancient powers of the old gods and the Children of the Forest, making it a significant element in the castle's ongoing story and the broader events of Westeros. And if Bloodraven and the Children of the Forest have an interest in what happens at Harrenhal, perhaps they are taking a role in making sure it does not stay in one pair of hands too long in order to facilitate a move in the millennia-long game that the Children of the Forest play. and that unfortunately means making sure that it ends up in the hands of the pawn with which they will make a significant move with. And such moves always in a bad way for the former holder, so in a way we can see that Harrenhal is most certainly cursed.